Ji-woo Park stared at the screen in the observation room. The numbers were wrong. They had been wrong for 3 hours now, and she could not explain why. Outside the reinforced windows, Mars hung in the darkness like a red marble. The monitoring station orbited slowly, its solar panels catching Earth's distant sunlight. "You should go home," her supervisor said, passing by her desk. "Your shift ended 2 hours ago." Ji-woo shook her head. "There is something here. I just need to find it." She was a communications officer, trained to detect patterns in the noise of space. Most days, her work was boring. She monitored routine transmissions between Earth colonies, checked satellite systems, and watched endless streams of cosmic radiation. But today was different. The signal had appeared at 14:37 station time. It was brief, just a pulse that lasted 3 seconds. Then it repeated exactly 12 minutes later. And again, and again. Each pulse was identical, which meant it was not natural. Stars and planets did not send perfect patterns. Ji-woo isolated the frequency and ran it through the analysis computer. The results made her sit up straight. The signal was using a frequency band that humanity had only learned to access 8 months ago. It was like finding a radio station that should not exist yet. She called her supervisor back. "Min-seo, look at this." Min-seo Kim leaned over her shoulder, his coffee cup forgotten in his hand. "That frequency. We barely have equipment that can detect it." "I know." "And look at the encoding." Ji-woo pulled up another screen. "It has structure. Mathematics. This is a message." They worked together through the night, pulling in other specialists. By morning, a small team had gathered in the observation room. Dr. Hassan Chen, the station's chief scientist, stood at the main display with a grim expression. "It is a distress call," he announced. "We are certain now." The room fell silent. Ji-woo felt her heart beat faster. Dr. Chen continued. "The signal contains coordinates and a time marker. Someone is in trouble, and they are telling others where to find them." "Who sent it?" someone asked. "We do not know." But here is the strange part. Dr. Chen magnified a section of the signal. "See this encryption? It is designed to be received only by beings with specific biological traits, certain types of sensory organs, ways of processing information." "What kind of traits?" Ji-woo asked. "Advanced ones. Far beyond human capability. This signal was never meant for us to hear." The implications settled over the room like cold water. Humanity was still new to deep space communication. They had only developed faster than light travel 20 years ago. Their ships were slow compared to the theoretical speeds possible. They were children, playing with tools they barely understood. "It is like a private emergency channel," Min-seo said slowly. "For advanced civilizations only." "Exactly," Dr. Chen agreed. "Whoever sent this assumed only their peers would receive it. They did not think primitive species could access this frequency." Ji-woo looked at the signal pattern, still pulsing on her screen. Somewhere out in the galaxy, someone was crying for help. They had called out to their equals, their allies, their friends, and somehow, impossibly, humanity had picked up the phone. Over the next week, the signal was confirmed by stations on Earth and the lunar colonies. Linguists and mathematicians worked to decode more of the message. Slowly, piece by piece, the picture became clear. The message came from a place called the Kelvor system, 97 light-years from Earth. A species was facing destruction. The details were fragmented, but the urgency was obvious. They had weeks, maybe a month. They needed help desperately. The governments of Earth held emergency meetings. Ji-woo watched the debates on the news feeds. Some leaders argued that humanity should stay quiet. If they revealed they could hear the signal, other civilizations might see them as threats, or worse, as prey. Others argued they had a moral duty to respond. If someone was dying and called for help, you did not ignore them just because the call was not meant for you. "We are not ready for this," one politician said on the broadcast. We do not have the ships, the weapons, or the knowledge. What if we make things worse? But Captain Min Jun Song, a veteran of the Mars colony missions, stood before the Earth Council with a different view. We may not be the strongest, we may not be the smartest, but we heard the call. The debate raged for days. Ji Woo found herself unable to sleep. She kept thinking about the signal, about the people who sent it. Were they still alive? Were they watching their skies, hoping to see rescue ships arrive? How did it feel to call for help and hear only silence? On the 8th day, the Earth Council made their decision. They would send a response team. It would be small. Just one ship with a crew of 20. They would travel to the Kelvor system, assess the situation, and offer assistance if possible. It was risky. It was maybe foolish. But it was human. Captain Min Jun Song would lead the mission. His ship, the Persistence, was one of humanity's newest vessels. It had an experimental faster-than-light drive that could theoretically make the journey in 3 weeks. The crew would include diplomats, engineers, medical staff, and scientists. Ji Woo was surprised when she received the message asking her to join the mission. Captain Song wanted the person who first detected the signal to be there when they made contact. She had 12 hours to decide. She stood in her small quarters on the Mars station, looking at Earth through her window. Home was a blue dot in the black. The Kelvor system was 97 light-years away, far beyond anything humanity had attempted. She thought about the signal still pulsing out there in the dark. She thought about the people who sent it, waiting for help that might never come. Ji Woo packed her belongings and sent her acceptance. Somewhere in the galaxy, someone needed help, and she would be part of the answer, even if that answer came from an unexpected place. The Persistence launched 3 days later, carrying humanity's first response to a galactic distress call. As the ship entered faster-than-light travel and Earth disappeared behind them, Ji Woo sat at her communication station and whispered a promise to the darkness. We heard you. We are coming. The Persistence shuddered as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Ji Woo gripped her console, feeling her stomach settle as normal space reasserted itself. Through the main view screen, a yellow star blazed against the black. The Kelvor system. All stations report status. Captain Min Jun Song ordered from his command chair. His voice was calm, but Ji Woo could see the tension in his shoulders. They had traveled farther from Earth than any human before. Navigation stable, reported the helm officer. Scanning for planetary bodies. Communications detecting multiple artificial signals. Ji Woo said, her hands moving across her controls. Lots of them. This system is heavily populated. The main screen shifted to show a planet. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents wrapped in white clouds. 2 moons hung in orbit nearby. But something was wrong. As the sensors focused, Ji Woo saw debris clouds where there should have been satellites. Explosions bloomed in the upper atmosphere. My God, whispered Ambassador Su Jin Quan, standing beside the captain. We are too late. No, Min Jun said firmly. If we were too late, there would be nothing left. Prepare first contact protocols. Open all standard communication frequencies. Ji Woo worked quickly, sending out greeting messages in mathematical sequences and basic pictograms. The response came within seconds, but it was not friendly. Unknown vessel. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. The voice was translated by the ship's computer, but the hostility was clear. Su Jin stepped forward. This is Ambassador Su Jin Quan of Earth, representing humanity. We received your distress signal. We have come to help. There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, filled with disbelief. Earth? The primitive system? That is impossible. Our signal is encoded for advanced civilizations only. Yet we received it, Min Jun said. And we are here. Another pause. Longer this time. Then a new voice spoke. Older and tired. This is Administrator Velkoth of the Kelvari people. You should not be here. This is not your concern. Someone called for help. Sujin replied gently. We answered. We called for our allies. The Threxian Empire. The Vonari Collective. Species who have the power to make a difference. Velkoth's voice was bitter. Not newly spacefaring primitives who barely understand faster than light travel. Ji-woo felt her face grow hot at the insult. But Sujin remained calm. Where are your allies? Administrator, we have been in your system for 5 minutes, and we see only destruction. Are the Threxians here? Are the Vonari helping you? The silence that followed was answer enough. We sent the signal 19 days ago, Velkoth finally said. No one came. No one responded. We are alone. You are not alone, Minjun said. We are here. Now. Will you tell us what is happening, or will you wait until it is truly too late? There was another pause. Then Velkoth spoke again, and this time his voice was defeated. Dock at our orbital station, but do not expect much. You are 20 humans against an extinction event. The Persistence approached the orbital station carefully. As they drew closer, Ji-woo could see the damage. Sections of the massive structure were torn open, exposed to space. Repair crews swarmed over the hull like insects, trying to seal breaches. The docking process was tense. When the airlock finally opened, Ji-woo followed Captain Minjun and Ambassador Sujin into the station. The rest of the crew stayed behind, ready to evacuate if needed. The Kelvari who greeted them were tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their eyes were large and golden, adapted for seeing spectrums humans could not. Administrator Velkoth stood at the front, his posture rigid with barely controlled anger. You should not have come, he said without greeting. This is a matter between civilized species. Then it is fortunate we are civilized, Sujin replied smoothly. Please, Administrator, tell us what is happening. Velkoth led them through corridors filled with frightened civilians. They passed medical stations overflowing with injured Kelvari. The air smelled of smoke and fear. Finally, they reached a command center with a large holographic display. The Gentari did this, Velkoth said, gesturing to the display. It showed their solar system with thousands of red dots converging on the planet. 3 weeks ago, they redirected an asteroid field toward our world. Hundreds of massive rocks, all on collision courses. It is an act of war. And where we won. Takes 2, and where won. Takes 2. Why would they do this? Minjun asked. Because they can. Because they believe only the strong deserve to survive. Velkoth manipulated the display, showing the approaching asteroids. Our defensive grid was designed to stop ships, not mountains of stone. We have destroyed some, but there are too many. Our shields will fail. Our cities will burn. My people will die. Ji-woo studied the display, her mind racing. The largest asteroids were kilometers across. The smaller ones still massed millions of tons. The Kelvari were right. This was an extinction event. What about evacuation? Sujin asked. To where? We have 3 billion people and not enough ships. Even if we had time, where would we go? The Gentari have made it clear. They will hunt us wherever we flee. Your allies? Minjun pressed. Velkoth's shimmer changed color, showing emotion the humans could not read. We sent the signal on every emergency channel. We begged for help. The Threxians said they could not spare the resources. The Vonari said it would take too long to mobilize. The others did not even respond. The galactic community has decided we are not worth saving. And Devan. The Threxians said they could not spare the resources. But they sent no condolences? Sujin asked softly. No expressions of regret? Nothing. Just silence. Velkoth turned to face them directly. So, you see why I am not grateful for your arrival. You are too few. Your technology is too primitive. You have traveled across the galaxy to witness our destruction. Nothing more. Minjun stepped closer to the holographic display, studying the asteroid trajectories. 247. There are over 800 remaining. What weapons are you using? Energy beams, plasma charges. They vaporize smaller asteroids completely, but the large ones break apart and create more fragments. Velkoth's frustration was obvious. We are fighting an impossible battle. What if you did not destroy them? Minjun asked. Velkoth stared at him. What? What if you redirected them instead? Changed their trajectory so they miss your planet? We do not have that technology. Our weapons are precise, designed for ship combat. We do not have the gross kinetic force needed to move objects that massive. Minjun looked at Sujin, then at Jiwoo. A small smile crossed his face. Administrator Velkoth, humanity may be primitive. We may not have energy shields or plasma weapons, but we are very good at blowing things up and making them go where we want. Explain, Velkoth demanded. Give me access to your scientists and engineers. Let my crew study your technology. Give us 3 days, and we will show you what desperate humans can do. Velkoth studied the captain for a long moment. Finally, he gestured to his staff. They are yours. But understand this. If you fail, my people die, and your species will have traveled 97 light-years only to be remembered as the primitives who tried and could not help. Then we will not fail, Minjun said. Simply, as they left the command center, Jiwoo fell in step beside the captain. Do you really think we can do this? Minjun looked at her and smiled. We heard their call when no one else did. We came when no one else would. Now, we will help them, because that is what humans do. We do not give up. In the distance, through the station's viewports, the asteroids continued their slow, inevitable approach toward the beautiful blue and green world below. Taeyang Choi floated in zero gravity, examining a Kelvari gravity manipulation device with the wonder of a child seeing their first snow. The technology was beautiful, elegant, and completely different from anything humanity had created. You are doing that wrong, said scientist Drenix, floating beside him. The Kelvari's 4 arms were crossed. A sign of disapproval the humans had learned quickly. I am trying to understand how it works, Taeyang replied, not looking up from the device. Understanding is irrelevant. The asteroids arrive in 6 days. We do not have time for your primitive curiosity. Taeyang finally looked at Drenix. The Kelvari was young, probably brilliant in his field, and clearly frustrated at being assigned to work with humans. If I do not understand it, I cannot modify it. And if I cannot modify it, we cannot save your people. Drenix's shimmer shifted to an angry red. You cannot save us anyway. Captain Song's plan is madness. Combining our gravity technology with your crude explosives, it is like putting a fusion reactor in a stone hammer. Maybe, Taeyang admitted, but right now that stone hammer is all you have. He turned back to the device. Over the past 2 days, the human crew had worked around the clock with Kelvari scientists. The work was difficult. Kelvari technology relied on principles that human physics was just beginning to understand. Their tools responded to thought patterns through neural interfaces. Their materials were grown, not manufactured. But humans were adaptable. That was their strength. Captain Minjun's plan was simple in concept, terrifying in execution. Instead of destroying the asteroids, they would redirect them. The Kelvari gravity manipulators could create fields that pushed or pulled objects. But they were designed for precise work on small scales. They could not move mountains. Human explosives, however, were designed to move anything. Combined with Kelvari gravity manipulation, they could create focused force vectors that would change an asteroid's trajectory just enough to miss the planet. Show me the power flow again, Taeyang said. Drenix sighed but complied, using his neural interface to light up the device's internal pathways. Taeyang watched carefully, making notes on his tablet. Human technology was crude by Kelvari standards, but it was also simple, reliable. It did not need neural interfaces or exotic materials. It just worked. Here, Tae-young said, pointing to a junction. If we bypass this regulator and connect directly to the power core, we can increase output by 40%. That will destabilize the entire system, Drenix protested. Only if it runs for more than 30 seconds. We only need 10. It is dangerous. Yes, Tae-young agreed. But your planet has 6 days left. We are past safe options. Across the orbital station, similar conversations were happening. Human engineers worked with Kelvari technicians, combining technologies in ways neither species had imagined. Ambassador Sujin moved between groups, smoothing over conflicts and misunderstandings. The cultural differences were vast, but shared desperation built unexpected bridges. Ji-woo worked in the communications center, coordinating between the station and the Persistence. The ship had been modified into a flying factory, producing the hybrid devices as fast as possible. They needed dozens of them, positioned at precise points in space to intercept the asteroids. How many do we have? Captain Min-jun asked, appearing at her station. 17 completed. Another 30 in production. Tae-young says we need at least 60 to cover the most dangerous asteroids. Min-jun looked at the countdown display. 6 days, 14 hours, 22 minutes. We will make it work. Captain, may I ask a question? Always. Why are the Kelvari so resistant? We are trying to help them. Min-jun was quiet for a moment, watching Kelvari workers moving through the station. Imagine if Earth faced destruction, and we called the species we considered our equals, and none of them came. Then imagine if a species we thought was primitive arrived instead. Grateful, Ji-woo said immediately. Would you? Or would you feel ashamed? Embarrassed that you needed help from those you looked down on? Min-jun smiled sadly. The Kelvari are proud people. Their civilization is thousands of years old. We are children by comparison. It hurts them to need us. Ji-woo thought about Administrator Velkoth's anger, Drenix's frustration. She had mistaken it for arrogance. But it was really pride, wounded and defensive. Do you think they will accept our help when it matters? She asked. They will, Min-jun said with certainty. Because when death comes close, pride becomes small. They will choose life. On the 4th day, they deployed the first device. A Kelvari pilot craft carried it to intercept Point Alpha, where a medium-sized asteroid was approaching. The entire station watched on displays as the device activated. The asteroid was 300 meters across, spinning slowly through space. The hybrid device floated beside it, barely visible against the rock face. Then, Tae-young triggered the sequence. The Kelvari gravity manipulator created a field that locked onto the asteroid's center of mass. 1 second later, the human explosive charges detonated. The force was directed by the gravity field, pushing against the asteroid like an invisible hand. The rock shuddered. Its rotation changed. Its trajectory shifted by 0.02 degrees. It was barely noticeable. But when calculated across millions of kilometers, that tiny shift would send the asteroid past the planet instead of into it. The command center erupted in cheers. Humans and Kelvari celebrated together. The barriers between them momentarily forgotten. Administrator Velkoth stood watching the display, his shimmer showing colors the humans had not seen before. Hope. Perhaps. It worked, Drenix said, floating beside Tae-young. His voice was quiet, almost awed. It worked, Tae-young confirmed. Your gravity manipulation. Our explosives. Together. I doubted you, Drenix admitted. I thought your captain was foolish. I thought you were wasting our last days with impossible plans. And now? Drenix turned to face him directly. Now I think perhaps we have been the foolish ones. We called for help from our peers, but our peers abandoned us. You came, even knowing we thought you were beneath us. Why? Quote, Taeyang thought about how to explain. On Earth, we have a saying. If you can help, you must help. It does not matter if the person is friend or stranger, rich or poor, grateful or angry. If you can make a difference, you have a responsibility to try, even when not asked, especially when not asked. The proudest people have the hardest time asking for help. Drenix was quiet for a long moment. Your species is strange. Yes, Taeyang agreed with a smile. We are. Over the next 2 days, they deployed 43 more devices. Each one successfully redirected its target. The largest asteroids required multiple devices working in coordination. The smallest needed only one. Slowly, the trajectory predictions changed. The red lines showing impact points shifted to yellow, then green. Near misses instead of direct hits. But on day 6, new contacts appeared on the scanners. Jiwoo saw them first, her stomach dropping as she recognized the signature. Captain, she called out. We have ships entering the system. 16 vessels, unknown configuration. Administrator Velkoth pulled up the identification scan. His shimmer went dark. The Kelvari equivalent of pale fear. Gentari. They sent their fleet. On the main display, the ships appeared. They were angular and aggressive, built for war, and they were accelerating toward the orbital station. Why would they come now? Sujin asked. The asteroids will do their work. Why risk their ships? Velkoth's voice was grim. Because we are fighting back. Because we found a way to survive. The Zentari do not just want us dead. They want us to die helpless, proving their philosophy that only the strong deserve to exist. If we save ourselves, we prove them wrong. How long until they are in weapons range? Minjun asked. 4 hours. They will destroy our station, our planet's defensive satellites, and your ship. Then the asteroids will finish what they started. Minjun looked at his crew, then at the Kelvari around him. We have 18 more devices to deploy. If we launch them now, we can still save the planet from the asteroids, and then die to the Gentari fleet. Velkoth finished. We did not come all this way to die, Minjun said. But we did not come to watch you die either. We deploy the remaining devices. Then we figure out how to survive the next 4 hours. As the crews rushed to prepare, Jiwoo looked at the approaching fleet and the countdown clock. 6 days to save a planet. 4 hours to save themselves. She returned to her station and started calculating firing solutions. Because that was what humans did. They solved problems. They refused to give up. And they did not abandon those who needed help, even when staying meant facing an enemy they could not defeat. The Gentari were coming. But humanity was already here. The Gentari fleet moved through space, like predators approaching wounded prey. Captain Minjun watched them on the tactical display, counting 16 warships against 1 human exploration vessel and a damaged Kelvari orbital station. Their weapons range is superior to ours, reported Lieutenant Park, the Persistence's weapons officer. They will be able to fire on us for 90 seconds before we can shoot back. Can we evacuate the station? Sujin asked. Administrator Velkoth shook his head. There are 3,000 civilians here. We do not have enough escape craft, and our planetary shuttle system was damaged in the first asteroid wave. Then we hold position, Minjun said. We finish deploying the remaining devices, and we defend this station. Captain, with respect, we cannot win this fight, Lieutenant Park said carefully. No, Minjun agreed. But we can make them bleed. And sometimes, making an enemy bleed is enough. He turned to Taeyang. How many devices are left? 18. We can deploy them in 20 minutes if we launch them all at once. Do it. Get them in position before the Zentari arrive. As Taeyang rushed to coordinate the deployment, Jiwoo studied the tactical situation. The Gentari ships were spreading into an attack formation. They were professionals, moving with practiced precision. She pulled up every bit of data the Kelvari had on Gentari tactics. "They fight like humans used to," she murmured. "What was that?" Minjun asked, moving beside her station. "The Zentari. I am reading their combat history. They use direct confrontation, overwhelming force. They do not use tricks or deception because they consider it beneath them. They believe superior strength should win battles." A slow smile crossed Minjun's face. "Then, they have never fought desperate humans before." He called up the navigation chart, showing the asteroid field still approaching the planet. Hundreds of rocks, each one a potential weapon. "Can we redirect any of these asteroids toward the Gentari fleet?" Velkoth's shimmer flickered with shock. "That is, no, we cannot. Using celestial bodies as weapons is forbidden by galactic law. It is considered barbaric." "More barbaric than genocide?" Sujin asked quietly. "It crosses a line," Velkoth insisted. "If we do this, other civilizations will see us as dangerous, uncivilized." Velkoth, Administrator," Minjun said, his voice hard. "Right now, other civilizations are not here. They did not answer your call. They left you to die. Do you really care what they think while the Gentari destroy your station and murder your people?" The command center fell silent. Every Kelvari was looking at Velkoth, waiting for his response. The administrator's forearms trembled slightly. "If we do this," he said slowly, "we become like them. We become weapons users instead of defenders." "No," Sujin said gently. "If you do this, you become survivors. There is no shame in surviving." Velkoth closed his large golden eyes. When he opened them again, his shimmer had changed to a color the humans had not seen before. Determination mixed with sorrow. "Do it. Calculate the trajectories. Turn their weapon against them." Taeyang and Drenix worked together, their earlier hostility forgotten in the urgency of the moment. They selected 12 asteroids that could be redirected toward the Gentari fleet positions. The math was complex, requiring precise timing and coordination. "The Gentari will see the asteroids coming," Drenix warned. "They will adjust their formation. Then we use that," Minjun said. "We heard them. Use the asteroids to force them into positions where our weapons can hit them." "That is brilliant," Lieutenant Park said with surprise. "And insane." "Mostly insane," Minjun agreed. "But it might work." "Taeyang, how long to reprogram the remaining deployment devices?" 10 minutes. Maybe less. You have 8. The next minutes were chaos. Crews rushed to modify devices that were already being loaded onto deployment craft. Kelvari pilots volunteered to fly suicide runs, carrying the hybrid devices into the asteroid field under fire. Human engineers worked alongside Kelvari scientists, communicating more through gestures and determination than words. Ji-woo coordinated the communications, keeping every team synchronized. She felt the weight of thousands of lives, depending on split-second timing. One mistake, one miscalculation, and the entire plan would collapse. "Deployment craft away," Taeyang reported. 12 units, heading for asteroid intercept points. "Zentari fleet will be in weapons range in 90 seconds, Lieutenant Park announced. On the display, Ji-woo watched the two forces converge. The Gentari ships, confident and powerful. The small Kelvari pilots, racing to position devices in time. And the asteroids, silent mountains of stone that were about to become weapons of desperation. "They are hailing us," Ji-woo said. "Audio only. Let us hear them," Minjun ordered. A voice filled the command center, cold and certain. "Kelvari Station. This is War Leader Thex, of the Gentari First Fleet. You will surrender immediately. Your attempts to defend yourselves have only delayed the inevitable. Accept your fate with dignity." Minjun gestured to Ji-woo to open a channel. "War Leader Thex, This is Captain Minjun's song of the human vessel Persistence. The Kelvari are under our protection. Turn away now, and you will not be harmed. There was a pause, then harsh laughter. Humans? The primitive species from the outer rim? This is who the Kelvari called for help? How pathetic. You will die first, as a lesson to them. Perhaps, Minjun said calmly. But we will teach you a lesson first. You picked on someone who called for help. We are the ones who answered. And humans protect those who cannot protect themselves. Noble words from a dead species. Fire. The Gentari fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced across space, striking the orbital station's shields. The station shuddered, alarms blaring. The Kelvari defensive systems returned fire, but their shots were weak, depleted by days of fighting asteroids. Shields at 60%, reported the station's defense officer. 40 seconds until asteroid intercept, Taeyang said, his voice tight. The Persistence maneuvered, its smaller size allowing it to dodge some of the incoming fire. Lieutenant Park returned fire with the ship's weapons, targeting the nearest Gentari vessel. The shots were like needles against armor, barely scratching the hull. 20 seconds. More Gentari ships focused fire on the station. The shields flickered and failed in sections. Atmosphere vented from damaged compartments. Jiwoo could hear screaming in the background as civilians tried to reach emergency shelters. 10 seconds. The deployment devices activated. In 12 locations across the asteroid field, modified Kelvari gravity manipulators combined with human explosives. The results were spectacular. Asteroids weighing millions of tons shifted trajectory, accelerating toward the Gentari fleet like thrown hammers. Impact, Taeyang whispered. War leader Thex saw the asteroids too late. He tried to order evasive maneuvers, but his fleet was already committed to their attack formation. The first asteroid struck a Gentari cruiser amidships, crushing it like paper. The ship broke apart, debris spinning into space. 2 more asteroids followed, forcing the Gentari fleet to scatter. Their precise formation dissolved into chaos. Ships collided with each other, trying to avoid the stone projectiles. Some fired their weapons at the asteroids, but it was useless. You could not destroy a mountain with laser beams. Now, Minjun ordered. All weapons. Target the ships forced into our firing range. The Persistence and the station's remaining weapons focused on the Gentari vessels, caught between avoiding asteroids and maintaining position. Without their formation, without their superior numbers concentrated, they were vulnerable. Human and Kelvari weapons found weak points in their shields, exploiting gaps that precise positioning had protected before. A second Gentari ship exploded. Then a third took critical damage and began drifting, its engines destroyed. Retreat. War leader Thex's voice came over the communication channel. All ships. Retreat to Rally Point Omega. But retreating meant exposing their engines to fire. It meant breaking formation further. 2 more Gentari ships were destroyed as they turned away. The survivors accelerated out of weapons range, leaving their dead behind. The command center erupted in shocked celebration. Kelvari and humans embraced, the barriers of species forgotten in the joy of survival. Jiwoo felt tears on her face and did not wipe them away. We did it, Drennick said, floating beside Taeyang. We actually did it. No, Taeyang corrected gently. We did it together. Your technology, our tactics, both necessary. Administrator Velkoth approached Captain Minjun. The old administrator's shimmer showed colors that the translation computers said meant gratitude, shame, and respect mixed together. You saved us. Not just from the asteroids, but from our own pride. We just helped you save yourselves, Minjun said. The courage was yours. No, the courage was yours. You came when no one else would. You fought beside us when you could have fled. You taught us that strength is not just power, but the willingness to use it for others. Velkoth's 4 arms moved in a gesture the humans did not recognize. Humanity is young. Dun Regedid. Muntaram. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are primitive. But your hearts are stronger than any species I have known. On the display, the last of the Gentari ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel. The asteroid field continued its approach, but now all the remaining rocks had been successfully redirected. They would pass by Kelvor Prime harmlessly, a reminder of how close destruction had come. Ji-Woo watched the tactical display clear and allowed herself a moment of hope. They had done it. Against all odds, despite being unprepared and outmatched, they had saved an entire civilization. But as she looked at the communication logs, she saw something that made her blood run cold. "Captain," she said quietly. The Gentari sent a transmission before they retreated. It was not on standard frequencies. Mumbo-ro. Mumbo-ro. "What kind of transmission?" Mingjun asked. "A report. To someone called the Gentari High Command. They told them everything. About us, about what we did, about the asteroids used as weapons." She looked up at him. "They are telling their leaders that a primitive species interfered with their operation." Minjun was quiet for a long moment. "Then they will come back. Yes, in greater numbers." "Good," Minjun said, and Ji-Woo was surprised by the hardness in his voice. "Let them come. Let them learn what happens when they prey on those who cannot defend themselves. Because now those people have allies, and those allies are human." 3 days after the battle, Ji-Woo stood on the surface of Kelvor Prime for the first time. The sky was purple at sunset, and 2 moons hung above the horizon like watchful eyes. The Kelvari city around her was damaged but alive, its people slowly returning to normal life. Children played in the streets, their shimmers bright with joy. They did not fully understand how close death had come. Their parents knew, though. Ji-Woo saw it in the way Kelvari adults looked at the human crew members walking among them. There was wonder in those golden eyes, and gratitude, and something that might have been shame. "They are calling you the answer species," said a voice beside her. Ji-Woo turned to see Drenix, the young scientist who had been so hostile when they first arrived. His shimmer was warm now, showing colors of friendship. "Answer species? Because you answered when no one else would. It is spreading across our communication networks. Other species who heard our distress signal are learning that humans came while they stayed away." Drenix paused. "Some are not happy about it. Because we are primitive? Because you made them look cowardly. And because you showed that technology and power are not the only measures of a civilization's worth." Ji-Woo thought about that as they walked through the city. Everywhere, Kelvari stopped to watch the humans pass. Some approached to offer thanks. Others kept their distance, their shimmers showing conflicting emotions. Pride wounded by needing help. Gratitude for receiving it. Respect earned through shared struggle. At the central plaza, a memorial was already being constructed. It would honor both Kelvari and humans who died defending the station. Only 3 humans had been lost when a Gentari shot penetrated the Persistence's hull. 3 lives, given for a world of 3 billion. Ji-Woo thought it was a fair trade, but it still hurt. Captain Minjun and Ambassador Sujin met with Administrator Velkoth in the government complex. Ji-Woo was invited to attend, along with Taeyang and several senior Kelvari officials. The mood in the meeting room was serious. "We need to discuss what comes next," Velkoth said. "The Gentari will return. Their philosophy demands it. They cannot allow a failed genocide to stand." "How long do we have?" Minjun asked. 3 months. Perhaps 4. They will gather a larger fleet, one that cannot be defeated by cleverness and asteroids. "Can your allies help now? Surely they have seen what happened here." Velkoth's shimmer darkened. "They have seen. The Threxian Empire sent a diplomatic message congratulating us on our survival. The Vonari Collective offered to send medical supplies. Neither offered military support. Why not?" Sujin asked, though Ji-Woo could see she already knew the answer. "Because helping us means confronting the Gentari. It means choosing a side in a conflict. The great civilizations of the galaxy have decided it is safer to remain neutral, even when neutrality means watching genocide. Velkoth looked at each human in the room. You are the only ones who chose differently. The room was quiet. Ji-Woo felt the weight of that truth. Humanity was barely a century into space travel. Their ships were slow. Their weapons were weak. And yet, they had done what ancient, powerful civilizations would not. We cannot fight the Gentari alone, one Kelvari official said. Even with human help, we do not have the strength. Then we do not fight them alone, Minjun said. We find others who need help. Others the Zentari have threatened. We build an alliance. Of whom? The primitive species? The young civilizations that the galactic community ignores? The official's skepticism was obvious. Yes, Minjun said simply. Exactly them. The overlooked. The underestimated. The ones who were not invited to join the advanced civilizations clubs. We offer them what the great powers will not. Protection. Partnership. A voice. Velkoth leaned forward, his forearms moving in a gesture of intense interest. You are proposing a new alliance. Outside the existing power structures. I am proposing we answer more distress calls, Minjun corrected. We heard yours when others did not. How many more are crying for help right now? How many species are suffering because no one will come? No one. No one. No one. The galactic community will not approve, warned another official. The galactic community abandoned you to die, Sujin said, her voice sharp. Perhaps it is time to stop seeking their approval. Ji-Woo watched Administrator Velkoth process this. He was old, she realized. Old enough to remember when the Kelvari were young themselves, before they climbed into the ranks of respected civilizations. He understood what Minjun was really saying. You want to broadcast what happened here, Velkoth said slowly. You want other species to know that someone is listening to their distress calls. Yes. Minjun agreed. We send a message on the emergency channels. We tell them what we did here. We promise that if they call for help, someone will answer. It will make you targets. The Zentari will see you as threats to their philosophy. Other aggressive species will also. We are already targets, Minjun said. The moment we saved you, we chose a side. Now, we might as well choose it loudly. Velkoth was quiet for a long time. Finally, he looked around at his officials, then back to the humans. I will be honest with you. Part of me hates this. Hates that we need you. Hates that our supposed peers abandoned us while a young species saved us. It wounds my pride. Deeply. We understand, Sujin said gently, but pride is a luxury for those who can afford it. My people are alive. Because you set pride aside and helped us anyway. The least I can do is set my own pride aside and help you build something better than what exists now. Velkoth stood, his posture formal. The Kelvari will join this alliance. We will help you answer distress calls. We will stand with you, against the Gentari, and any others who believe. Strength gives them the right to destroy the weak. Over the next 2 days, they prepared the message. Ji-Woo helped write it, choosing the words carefully. It needed to be clear, but not aggressive. Hopeful, but not naive. An offer, not a demand. On the 3rd day, they broadcast it on every emergency frequency, the same channels the Kelvari had used to send their original distress signal. The message was simple. No. This is Captain Minjun Song of Earth and Administrator Velkoth of Kelvor Prime. 19 days ago, the Kelvari sent a distress signal asking for help. No one answered. Humanity heard the call and came, traveling 97 light-years to assist. Together, we saved Kelvor Prime from extinction. We know there are others suffering in silence. Others who have called for help and received none. Others who believe they are alone. This message is for you. You are not alone. If you cry for help, we will hear you. If you call for aid, we will come. We may not be the strongest. We may not be the most advanced. But we will answer. We are forming an alliance called the Responders. Any species that believes in protecting those who cannot protect themselves is welcome. Any civilization that will answer distress calls is our ally. We do not require advanced technology or powerful weapons. We require only the willingness to help when help is needed. To those who prey on the weak and isolated, your time is ending. To those who suffer alone, you have allies now. To those who ignored distress calls, you have shown us what you value. We will remember. This is our promise. We are listening. We will hear you. We will come. The message was sent simultaneously from Earth, Kelvor Prime, and the Persistence, transmitted across multiple frequencies and in multiple formats. Then, they waited to see what would happen. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, they received replies from dozens of civilizations. Some were grateful, others angry, many confused. The great powers sent diplomatic protests, accusing humanity and the Kelvari of disrupting galactic order. Smaller species sent requests for help, sharing their own struggles. Jiwoo monitored the incoming signals, categorizing them by urgency. Captain, we are receiving distress calls, real ones. 7 species report immediate threats. 15 more have ongoing conflicts. 23 are asking for information about joining the responders. Min Jun looked at the flood of messages and smiled. Then we have work to do. We are just 20 humans in one ship, Lieutenant Park pointed out. We cannot answer all these calls. We cannot answer them alone, Min Jun agreed. But we do not have to be alone anymore. Velkoth entered the communications center, accompanied by several Kelvari military leaders. Captain, the Kelvari fleet is offering 5 ships to join your cause. They are not our newest vessels, but they are combat-ready and crew is willing. That is generous, Sujin said. It is necessary. You saved us. Now we will help you save others. Velkoth gestured to the display, showing the incoming messages. These are all the species the galactic community deemed not worth protecting. Together, they outnumber the great powers. If we can unite them, we change everything, Min Jun finished. Over the next week, the responders took shape. Species that had been isolated and ignored found each other. Technology was shared. Defense pacts were formed. The Kelvari provided advanced sensors and gravity manipulation. Humanity provided tactical thinking and explosive expertise. Other species contributed their own unique strengths. A scientific species called the Malari, whose distress call had gone unanswered for 3 years, joined and offered medical technology. A warrior culture called the Breathen, who had been fighting pirates alone, brought their combat experience. One by one, the overlooked species of the galaxy came together. The great civilizations watched with growing alarm. Some sent threats. Others offered negotiations. None offered to join. They had made their choice long ago, and now they faced the consequences. Jiwoo stood in the communications center of the now expanded orbital station, watching the network grow. Ships were arriving daily, bringing representatives from species across the galaxy. The station had become a hub, a meeting place for those who believed in something simple. If someone needs help, you help them. What are you thinking? Captain Minjun asked, joining her at her station. I am thinking about that first signal, how it was never meant for us, how we picked it up by accident. Not accident, Minjun said. We worked hard to develop that technology. We earned the right to hear it, but the Kelvari did not want us to hear it. They wanted their equals, their peers, and they got something better. They got someone who would actually come. Minjun looked out at the gathering fleet. Do you know what the true measure of civilization is, Jiwoo? It is not technology. It is not power. It is the choice to help others. Even when there is nothing to gain. Even when it is dangerous. Even when no one will thank you. Jiwoo thought about the 3 humans who died defending this station. She thought about the Gentari, who would return. She thought about all the other species out there, suffering and alone, waiting for help that might never come. Captain, there is another distress signal coming in. From the Mirovan system. They are under attack by raiders and requesting immediate assistance. Minjun looked at the signal, then at the fleet gathering outside. Ships from 6 different species, all ready to answer the call. Plot a course. Send word to our allies. It is time to teach the galaxy a new lesson. What lesson is that? That being primitive does not mean being powerless. That being young does not mean being helpless. And that when someone cries for help, there will always be someone listening. He smiled. Because humanity picked up the cry for help, and we will keep picking them up, again and again, until no one has to suffer alone anymore. Jiwoo sent the response message to the Mirovan system. We heard you. We are coming. Hold on. Outside the viewport, the fleet began to move. Dozens of ships from different worlds united by a simple purpose. They were the responders. They were the answer to unanswered prayers. They were proof that the galaxy could be better than it was, and they were just getting started. In the darkness of space, on frequencies meant only for the powerful. Distress signals still cried out. But now, those cries were heard by those who cared more about helping than about rules. By those who measured strength, not in weapons, but in willingness to fight for others. The signal was galactic, meant only for the strong. But humanity had picked up the cry for help. And in doing so, they had changed everything.